Welcome to today's session on evaluation of vendors. This is session 9A and the subject is export merchandising and exim documentation. Session 9 is a combination of two sections. One is evaluation of vendors and the second is vendor compliance. Now, in this particular session, we are going to talk about evaluation of vendors, in which we are going to broadly talk about vendor assessment, or in other words, evaluation criteria, and then we're going to talk about vendor rating, and then last we're going to talk about the facility evaluation, which is evaluation of any factory. So go to the first one, which is vendor assessment or evaluation criteria. Now, for this particular session, the meaning of vendor is going to be all such entities or all such bodies which supply product or service to apparel exporter is a vendor for this. That's the broad meaning for this particular session. So when we're talking about vendor assessment or evaluation criteria, we are going to talk about how to assess or evaluate a vendor in a scientific manner. So much so that there is no ambiguity, there is no subjectivity. We lend a very high level of objectivity to it, so that when any person who knows the framework, who knows the formula, when the person tries to evaluate, let's say, a set of vendors, he or she will get the same result as any other person. Meaning to say that any person who tries to evaluate a set of vendors, all of them are going to get the same results. That is the beauty of the vendor assessment model using a set formula. Now, the criteria used for vendor selection. Now, there are various criteria based on which one can evaluate a vendor, and based on that can select a vendor. Now, there are various criteria, out of which there are 23 such criteria which has been identified as very important. This has come up after years and years of research, and there are 23 criteria which have been identified to be very, very important. First one being quality, and that too it has been ranked in that order. So first rank is quality, second rank is delivery, third is performance history, fourth is warranties and claim policies, fifth is production facilities and capacities, and so on. Now there are 23 such criteria, and they also have the rating. Now rating, when we say, we are saying the importance of a particular criteria. Now worldwide it has been understood to be true that quality is the most important criteria whenever we are talking about selecting a vendor. Second is delivery, third is performance history. Since when has the vendor been operating, and what is the performance? What great things have people to say about that particular vendor? And then the warranties and claim policies, production facilities and capacity, how big is the factory and how many machines do they have, and are they state of the art machinery and things like that. So number one ranking is quality, and the rating is 3.5. That's the weight. Number two is delivery, and the weight is 3.1. And performance history is number 3, and the rating is also, the weight is 3. Warranties and claim policies is on rank number 4, and the rating is 2.9. And number 5 is production facilities and capacity, and the rating is 2.8. Now, so we have 23 such criteria that we are going to discuss about, and we also have the rating. Now, these ratings have been calculated based on certain formulas, and based on which this list has been prepared, which is used as a standard benchmark in the manufacturing industry. But having said that, any factory is free to determine on its own what are the criteria which are important for that particular factory. They are free to decide. It is actually the factory which should decide which criteria is important for them. And the factory also has to decide which particular criteria is the most important and which one is not so important, and accordingly give a weight to it. Now, for example, if you talk about a designer brand, for them, quality is very important, and price may be not so important because anyways they are charging a bomb to their customers. So they're not bothered about what is the price of a zipper or a button or a thread. They're bothered about quality a lot. But if you talk about a value for money brand like a mass market, something like a Big Bazaar, for them the quality is important, but the price is far more important because they have to stick to their prices, because they are selling to masses, they are they're bulk sellers, and they're selling to the masses, and they have to sell at very competitive prices. So for them, prices are a lot more important than maybe quality. But for a designer, the quality is far more important than the prices. And someone who's very high on delivery, that I'm going to deliver it within 24 hours, maybe half an hour like a Domino's, 24 like a Amazon. So someone who is very high on delivery, whose competence lies in speed, for them delivery is going to be very, very important, maybe more important than quality. So that's why I said that any factory should evaluate itself and its environment and its customer and its industry in which it is operating, and then decide what are the criteria which is important for them, and the order of or the ranking of the criteria, and the weight, the amount of importance or the weightage that you would give to a particular criteria. So you can see the rating. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to explain each of the criteria. So quality is pretty much understood, the ability of each vendor to meet quality specifications consistently. Quality, simply said, is what I want. If you give me, that's great quality. What I want, if you don't give me that, is not good quality. That's the basics definition of quality. Delivery, the ability of each vendor to meet specified delivery schedules. If I want a delivery by, let's say, 10th of December, I should get it by 10th of December, maybe 11th, maybe 12th, but not more than that. Maybe there are some things in which I don't have any tolerance. If I want it on 10th December, I want it. If a vendor does not give it on by 10th of December, or a vendor is late in delivery, out of every 10 orders, the vendor gives 6 orders on time, but 4 orders are delayed. There's another vendor, out of every 10 orders that are placed with the second vendor, the vendor gives 9 orders on time, and only 1 order is slightly delayed. So it's a commonsensical thing that you would prefer the second one, because it gives 9 out of 10 deliveries on time, whereas the second one is giving only 6 deliveries out of 10. That's the meaning of delivery. Performance history is vendors, if they've been working for 10, 20, 30 years, 40 years. What is the performance history? How long have they been operating, and how many complaints people have against this vendor, and how many good things exporters, let's say there are big exporters who have been buying from a particular vendor since long, and these big factories have great things to say about this vendor. And it means the performance history of that vendor is good. They have been delivering on time. They've been giving great prices. The qualities have been pretty great. That's some totality of all these things are, some totality of these constitutes the performance history. The fourth one is warranties and claim policies of each vendor. Now imagine that the price is great, the quality is great, everything is great, but just in case there's a problem with the product, the vendor says we are not going to take it back, or we're not going to repair it, or we are not bothered. That falls under warranties and claim policies. Some people may be expensive, but then they say that if you have a problem with the product, simply tell us, we're going to come and take it and give you a replacement. We're going to give you a brand new piece. That's great. So warranties and claim policies is very important and has been ranked as number 4 with a rating of 2.9. Fifth one is production facilities and capacity. Now, this is so important because if you are placing an order with a vendor who's supposed to manufacture something for you and supply it to you, you would definitely want to know what kind of a factory does the vendor have, and how big it is, and what kind of capacity do they have, and do they have what kind of machinery do they have, what technology do they possess. So that's the meaning of production facilities and capacity. Now if we go to the next slide, slide number 5, the sixth ranked criteria is price. Price everyone knows. It's so important because at the end of the day, when you are buying a raw material or when you're buying a particular service from a vendor, you are going to use that service or the product to convert it into finished goods. Now, when you are converting it into finished goods, you also have to sell it further. Now, you can't be buying at expensive prices, because if you buy at expensive prices, you will not be able to sell at competitive prices. Therefore, price is very important for everyone, whether it is a designer or whether it is a value for money brand. So the price is the net price, including the discounts and freight charges, etc., which is offered by the vendor. So please remember, when you are finalizing on a particular vendor, you should never ever finalize only on the basis of the price. You should also be looking at other criteria. So 6th ranked is price with a rating of 2.8 worldwide. 7th is technical capability, which includes research and development facilities of each vendor. Now imagine there's a vendor which has great technical capability. They can give you any new type of product you want, any new features you want in a fiber, in a fabric, or you want some new kind of a zipper, or you want some new kind of a sequin, or whatever. So someone who has great technical capability, the prices may be high, but then if they are the only ones who have that new technology, you'll have to go to that vendor. So there will be times when you should also be looking at the technical capability of the vendor. And that's why it is ranked at 7 with a rating of 2.5. 8th one is financial position. Now please remember, any vendor who's always running short of cash, do not work with that vendor, because you are bound to face a lot of problems. Imagine you have placed an order with a vendor and the vendor runs short of finances in between. Now one fine day you call up and say, what happened to my order? And the guy says, sir, I am out of cash. I have no money, so I had to close down the factory. The workers are not coming because I could not pay them the salaries. So when I have the money, then I'll complete your order. How do you feel about it? I mean, you were waiting for the raw material to be delivered, based on which you were supposed to execute your order for your client, and now you cannot do it because your vendor has stopped in between. Why? Because has run short of cash. So you should always look at the financial position of a vendor before placing any order, and that's why financial position holds a rank number 8 and the rating is 2.5. Number 9 is procedural compliance. You want a particular raw material to be made in a particular manner using a particular process. So you tell this to your vendor that I want this product and it has to be made using a particular procedure. Now if your vendor does not use that procedure, uses some other procedure, then the vendor is not being compliant. And if any vendor does not listen to you, there's no point in working with such vendors. That is why procedural compliance happens to occupy rank number 9 with a rating of 2.5. 10th one, again, not so important, but then sometimes it becomes very, very frustrating. The communication system. Imagine working with a vendor who gives you great price, has great technology, has great capacity, has great delivery, but does not have a laptop, does not have a cell phone. You cannot call because they don't have any number. How are you going to find out? How are you going to follow up? How are you going to monitor whether everything is being done on time or not? Every time you want to talk to this person, you have to go to their factory. Only then you can talk to them. How frustrating can this be in today's world? And if you let's say you want to send them a picture, they don't have a laptop, they don't have a smartphone, they cannot use WhatsApp. It's going to be super frustrating. So communication system with information on progress data of orders of each vendor. So every day or every week when you call up and say that what happened to my order and what is the status, they should be giving you either a daily status or a weekly status at least. If they do not give you this status, you will find yourself in a lurch all the time, wondering what has happened to your order, whether it is being executed or not, and whether the vendor will be able to deliver the raw material to you on time or not. So again, communication system again becomes very, very important. And then a part of a communication system can be, the capability of the vendor to read English. Now imagine you send something, you forward an email or you send order details to the vendor, and the vendor says, हम अंग्रेजी नहीं जानते हैं, हम अंग्रेजी नहीं पढ़ सकते, आप हमको हिंदी में करके भेजो. That's going to be a huge headache for you, because you'll have to spend another 10-15 minutes or maybe half an hour to convert the text into Hindi so that the vendor understands it. So that is again a part of the communication system, and that's why it occupies the rank 10 and a rating of 2.4. Now we come to slide number 6. The 11th criteria is reputation and position in the industry, including production leadership and reputation. Reputation and position in industry. Are you reputed? Is the vendor reputed, or are they notorious? They keep doing stupid things. They delay. They don't deliver on time. Sometimes they simply say, "We'll not make it because we cannot make it," or they don't cite any reason. They simply say, "No, we cannot make it." In between, they have taken the order from you, and then one fine day they say that, "No, we'll not be able to make. Please, please use some other vendor to get your stuff made." And that's not how you work in an industry. So, and everyone wants to work with such vendors who have a good reputation and good position in that industry. That's why it holds a rank 11 and with a rating of 2.4. 12th one is desire of business, desire for your business shown by the vendor. Now, this is very important. You're placing an order with a vendor, and the vendor does not seem to be keen on taking your order, or the vendor is not delighted to take your order. You don't feel great about it. You place an order of, let's say, 10,000 or 20,000 pieces of, let's say, buttons or zippers, or maybe 20,000 meters of fabric. And if the let's say the fabric processor does not show any desire, okay, they take the order, but then they don't show any excitement or any sense of appreciation. That's giving wrong vibes. So if someone is not interested in taking your business or taking orders from you, their attitude towards you is very, let's say, very neutral. It's not positive. Then working with those people will be not such a great experience. Imagine there's a vendor who is so happy to see you, is happy to take your calls, is very elated, is very delighted when you give an order to them. They are very excited, and they with a lot of enthusiasm they work on your order. That is the kind of vendor that you're looking for. So, desire of business. If people are really desirous of taking business from you, it's great. That's why desire of business occupies rank 12 and is a rating of 2.3. We go on to the next one, 13th rank, which is management and organization. You don't want to work with vendors who are mismanaged and there is no sense of organization. Now, when we say management and organization, let's say you're working with a vendor, so there has to be someone who looks into sales, there has to be someone who looks into operations or into production. So if you want to know the current production status, there has to be one person who only looks at production status and who will share the details with you, who will send you the daily reports. Now, someone who is getting in touch with you is a person of marketing or sales. That person should always be available to you. You send a query, an inquiry to this person, and this person immediately reverts with the price or with availability, or will tell you that, "Sir, we cannot make this product," or "Sir, we can make this product, and this is the price at which we'll be able to make the product, and this is the amount of time that it will take." This is something which is taken care of by someone who looks into marketing or sales. So when we say management and organization, a vendor should have separate people for separate functions. You can't have one person looking into production and to sales and marketing and operations and daily reporting and everything. That means if one person is not available, you will not get any information. So there has to be a clear division of responsibility amongst people in an organization. So that's why management and organization occupies a rank of 13 with a rating of 2.2. Going forward, at the 14th position, we have operating controls, which includes reporting, quality control, inventory control systems. Now, does your vendor have any operating controls or the systems through which a vendor will be able to maintain the quality, control the quality? Systems through which they will be able to monitor the inventory, and therefore they will be able to deliver the goods on time. If they have great inventory control systems, they will know far ahead in advance if they are going to run short of a particular raw material, and they will order in good time so that their production moves smoothly. Someone who does not have inventory control system, they will bound to find themselves in such situations where they run short of raw material every now and then, and therefore there will be production delays. So again, when you're talking to a vendor, you should look at their operating controls also, which is the quality control systems and the inventory control systems. And that's why operating controls has a ranking of 14 with a rating of 2.2. 15th ranked is repair service. The repair service is likely to be given by each supplier. Any product that you buy from anyone, in case there's a problem, in case there's a breakdown, in case there is some problem with the product, who's going to repair it? The vendor should be ready to repair the product for you. Otherwise, it's not a great vendor. And that's why repair service occupies the rank of 15 with a weightage of 2.2. And we'll go on to the next slide, slide number 7. And we're now going to talk about rank 16, which is attitude. The attitude of each supplier towards a company. If the attitude is positive, great. Neutral, not so good. But negative attitude, please stay away from such vendors. So there are various methods of measuring the attitudes of vendors. And so while working or while evaluating a vendor, one should definitely look at the attitude of the vendor, and that's why attitude is rank 16 with a rating of 2.1. And then the impression made by each vendor in personal contact with you. See, at the end of the day, whatever science that we talk about, whatever theory that we talk about, when you are talking with a vendor, the impression that you get from the vendor, if you don't get a good impression, if you don't get a good vibe, if you have a gut feeling that something is wrong with this vendor, you definitely go with your gut feeling, but not only by your gut feeling. Now, at the end of the day, if everything is okay, but then still you have a feeling that something is wrong, you might think about it, and maybe you will not work with the vendor, and you wait for some time to evaluate, maybe give some small orders to this vendor who does not really seem to have a great impression on you. So you can give small orders to this vendor, and then over a period of time see whether the vendor is really good or not. So if the impression is great, you work. If impression is not so great, maybe you can proceed with a certain amount of caution. So that's why impression has a rank 17 with a rating of 2. Now going to 18th, which is packaging ability. The ability of the vendor to meet your packaging requirements for your product. Now, most of the times when you place an order with a vendor, you want them to package it for you so that you receive the products packed, and you simply have to you can simply send it to whoever is a client who's asking for the product. Now, if a vendor says no, I'm not going to pack it, Or if a vendor says, I can only pack it like this, not like the way you are saying, then it's a negative. A vendor should be able to pack in whichever way you want. Otherwise, it's a nuisance. It's something which is going to trouble you, because then you will receive the product from the vendor and then now you're going to again pack it. Now, if you're talking about products, if they are sent to you and then you pack it, it may get dirty, it may get damaged because of extra handling. There's going to be some problem or the other, more defects or more accidents or more chances of errors and things like that. You would want your vendor to simply pack it as per your requirement. So that's why packaging ability is also part of this list of 23 criteria and holds a rank of 18th and a rating of 2. The 19th is labor relations record. Now this one is very, very, very important. Labor relations record. If a vendor has a history of not following the labor laws, it's better to stay away from such vendors. Vendors which do not pay regularly, vendors which don't pay, vendors which differentiate amongst the labor, vendors which misbehave with the labor. It's a bad thing. And morally speaking, you should never give orders to a vendor who is not upright. You should never give orders to a vendor who does not respect women. You should not give any orders to a vendor who uses child labor, because when you give orders, you are actually supporting that vendor who is doing wrong things. So if a vendor has bad labor relation record, you should never ever work with them, because working with them means you are actually supporting them. If they have great labor relations record, you can work with them. It's a great criteria. They are stable, they are great work masters, they have great employees, the employees are happy because they're treated well in the organization. You should work with such vendors. That's why labor relations record stands at rank 19 with a rating of 2. And then we go to slide number 8. 20th rank, we have geographical location. And this one is important because of course, you would want to work with such vendors who are located closer to you. Any vendor who is located far away or is located in another country, it's a big minus. Someone who's in India only, you would be more comfortable working with that vendor. If there's a vendor in Italy or China or Hong Kong or Indonesia, you'll be a little more scared and skeptic, because I mean, how do you control? How do you monitor? And then, in case there's a dispute or anything, how would you handle it? Because India's law is different and the law of another country is different. If you want to, file a case against any of these people, it becomes an international case. So the expenses are going to be higher, the complexity is going to be higher. So that is why geographical location is something which has been seen as a very important criteria when you are assessing or selecting a vendor. And that's why geographical location is at rank number 20 and has a rating of 1.9. At 21 rank, we have amount of past business. A fairly simple amount of business already done with each vendor. I am looking at 5 vendors. I'm going to evaluate each of the vendors. Now, the vendors with whom I have done a lot of business in the past, obviously they are going to get more weightage. They are going to get more points. And you cannot ever ignore the fact, you cannot ignore the amount of business that has been done in the past. You will not want to work with a new vendor just because the new vendor is giving you great price or quality or delivery, or for that matter anything. You will always love to work with a vendor who is known to you and with whom you have done a lot of business. So any vendor with whom you have done a lot of business would always be more preferable than a vendor with whom you have done less business or a vendor with whom you have never done any business. So that's why amount of past business happens to be a important criteria and is at rank number 21 and has a rating of 1.6. Now 22 is training aids. This is also an important criteria, not so important, that's why it is on rank number 22, but it is as important that it has been included in this list of 23 criteria. Now, training aids, when we say, we are talking about the availability of training aids in educational courses in the use of product of each vendor. So this means that let's say a vendor gives you a technical product or a complex product. So whatever product the vendor gives to you, is the vendor also giving you the training aids and educational courses, just like a manual or how to do, how to operate. So if that is not available, how are you going to use the product? So that is why training aid happens to be an important criteria, especially when you buy very heavy machinery or sensitive machines or equipment or complex products, something like a cell phone or a laptop or a machinery, a computerized manufacturing setup or a computer-aided design, CAD software and things like that. You would definitely expect that some training aid or some manual is provided by the vendor with the product. So that's why, and if there is no training aid, how are you going to use the product? So that's why training aid happens to occupy rank 22 and with a rating of 1.5. And last but not the least, we have the reciprocal arrangements at rank 23 with a rating of 0.6. Not so important, but reciprocal arrangement is, if I am doing something for you, are you also ready to do something for me? So in case I have a problem, are you going to give a solution to it? I am running short of cash, will you give me credit? If I want some new product with a new technology, is the vendor ready to spend money on buying new technology so that the vendor is able to give you the new product or the product with the cutting edge product made using cutting edge technology? So reciprocal arrangements can be in terms of finances, in terms of technology, in terms of any other support. So is there reciprocal arrangement between the vendor and you? If the vendor is ready to help you or you are ready to help the vendor, then it's a great situation, a win-win situation, and that is why reciprocal arrangements has entered the list of 23 criteria and has a rating of 0.6. So whenever you are looking at buying from anyone, you can use any of these 23 criteria, and then you can do your evaluation of the vendors, and then in a very logical fashion do the ranking of the vendors, and then decide which vendor you would like to buy from. So that brings us to the end of the first section of session 9A, and now we go on to the second section, which is vendor rating. Now we have looked at those 23 criteria. Now what do we, and we have also seen the rating of the criteria. Now what do we do with that? How do we implement it? How do we use that information? That is what we are going to discuss in vendor rating. A vendor rating is done, it's a weighted point evaluation system, just like the weighted point evaluation system we have at in any of the education institutes. And the purpose of this weighted point evaluation system is to evaluate a potential supplier, any vendor who you think can supply to you. So the purpose is to evaluate the potential supplier. The purpose is also to track, it can also help in tracking the supplier's performance over time. So if someone has been supplying to you over a period of time, you can actually look at their performance. You can track their performance, evaluate it using this weighted point evaluation system. And you can also rank the current supplier. Let's say you have 10 suppliers for fabric. You can rank those suppliers using this weighted point evaluation system, and then you can actually rank them. Which one is the best supplier and which one is the worst supplier out of the 10 suppliers. And then you can also decide which ones to maybe kick out or maybe warn. You can give them warning that you have to pull up your socks else we will stop giving business to you and we are going to start giving business to new vendors. So that's the purpose of weighted point evaluation system. And how do we do it, the process? So it's fairly simple. We assign weights to the performance dimensions. We rate the performance of each supplier with regard to each dimension and we calculate the total score. Now, simply put, in terms of, let's say, NIFT, as students, you have to study various subjects. Each of the subjects carry 100 marks in total. Now, there are some core subjects and there are some non-core subjects. Core subjects have a credit of 3 and non-core subjects have a credit of 2. So, how is your CGPA or the SGPA calculated? So, what we do is that we multiply the marks that you score in a particular subject. You multiply that marks with the credit. And likewise, you multiply your marks with the credit of the subject, of each of the subjects. And then you do a summation of all of that. And then you divide it by the total number of credits. That gives you the SGPA. So similarly, the total score is calculated, and we'll see in this in an example in which in very simple terms it has been explained. Now, look at a particular situation. We have set of vendors: Vardhaman Mills, Century Mills, Morarji Mills. Now, these are the 3 very big, most reputed mill-made fabric suppliers of India. So, we have taken the example of Vardhaman, Century, and Morarji, and the performance dimension that we have taken over here. For simplicity, we have taken only 3 performance dimension or the criteria, which is price, quality, and delivery reliability. So the 3 criteria that we have taken is price, quality, and delivery reliability. When we say price, anyone who gives very high prices is bad. Anyone who gives low prices is good. If you talk about quality, 5% defects, 1% defects, 10% defects. 10% defects is bad, 1% defect is better than 10% defect. So the percentage defect expected is always less. Less percentage of defect means better performance. And if you talk about delivery reliability, Morarji has 60% on-time delivery, Vardhaman is 95% on-time delivery. Obviously, 95% on-time delivery by Vardhaman is deemed better than 60% on-time delivery by Morarji. So, this is the performance dimension, price, quality, and delivery reliability. And the information that we have is that Vardhaman, in a particular situation, Vardhaman has given a price of 40 rupees per meter, Century has given a price of 50 per meter, and Morarji has given a price of 20 per meter. Now, if you have a very narrow understanding of how to work with vendors, you would simply jump at the possibility, at the situation that Morarji is giving the price as 20 per meter. That's the best. So let's buy from Morarji. Now, an intelligent person will say that let's also look at the quality performance. So then you see that Vardhaman has 5% defects, Century has 1% defects. Century is the most expensive, 50 rupees per meter, but the defects is only 1%. And Morarji is the cheapest, 20 per meter, but then it has 10% defects. Now, other than that, we also see that, let's look at the delivery reliability. How many times are they on time and how many times they delay? And then you see that Morarji gives the delivery out of 100%, 60% they are on time, but 40% they are not on time. Whereas Vardhaman, 95% of the time they give delivery on time. Only 5% of the time they are not able to give on time. And if you look at Century, they are most expensive, 50 rupees per meter, but the best quality because they have only 1% defects. But they are 80% on time delivery, but 20% of the times they are late. Now, looking at these 3 performance dimension and looking at the information given over here, how do we decide that for this particular situation, who should I give the order to? that is exactly what we will see. How do we decide? We go to slide number 13, and like I explained, how do we calculate the SGPA of the students? Similarly, over here what we are doing is that the formula that we have is the score for a particular factory can be calculated by doing a summation of the score of the company in each of the performances. So here there are three performances. One is price, the second is quality, third is the delivery performance. And we will score each of the companies based on the data that has been gathered, and we are going to give them a score between 1 to 5. 1 is poor, 2 is fair, 3 is average, 4 is good, and 5 is excellent. We are on slide number 13 and we'll go to slide number 14. And in slide number 14, you can see that the data has been converted into scores. So Vardhman had a price of 40 per meter, Century had a price of 50 per meter, and Morarji had a price of 20 per meter. And we know that 5 is excellent and 1 is poor. Now, when we talk about price, Morarji has the best price. So we have given Morarji a score of 5. And Vardhman has a score of 4 because it is 40 per meter, and Century has got the least score, 3 only, because it is most expensive, 50 per meter. Now similarly, when we look at quality, then Morarji gets 1 point only because the percentage defect is 10%, whereas Century has 5 points, 5 score. Why? Because it has only 1% defects. And Vardhman is in between because it has 5% defects, in between 1% and 10%. So Vardhman with 5% defect get a score of 3. Now if you look at the delivery reliability, Vardhman is the best, 95% on-time delivery, and Morarji is the worst because 60% on-time delivery, and Century is in between, it is 80% on-time delivery. So Morarji has got the least score, 1, when we talk about delivery, and Vardhman has the highest score because it has the best on-time delivery record of 95%. And Century is in middle, 80% on-time delivery, and therefore Century has got a score of 2 in delivery reliability. So what we have done is that we have taken the information of price, quality, and delivery reliability, and we have given scores to each of the company on these performance dimension. Now next what we are going to do is we are going to calculate the total score for each of the factory. So for each of the factory, how will we calculate the score? So we are going to take score 1 into weight 1, and we will add it to score 2 into weight 2 and score 3 into weight 3. Now score 1, score 2, score 3. Score 1 is price. What did the factory get? What is the score which the factory got in first parameter, which was price? Score 2 is what is the score which the factory got in the second parameter, which is quality. And score 3 is the score which the factory got in third parameter, which is delivery. Weight 1, weight 2, weight 3 is already known to us. The criteria weights that we have taken. The weight of the price has been taken as 0.3, weight of the quality has been taken as 0.4, and weight of the delivery has been taken as 0.3. These are the weights, which means the highest weight is that of quality at 0.4, and price and delivery has the equal weight of 0.3 each. So how do we now calculate the score of Vardhman? So for Vardhman, we look at the score of Vardhman for price, for quality, for delivery, and then we multiply the individual performances with their corresponding weights. So for example, Vardhman has a score of 4 in price, and the weight of the price is 0.3. So therefore we will multiply 4 into 0.3, and then we'll add it to second one. Now the second criteria is quality. Vardhman has got a score of 3 in quality. And what is the weight of the quality? Weight of the quality is 0.4. So we'll multiply 3 with 0.4. And then third one, Vardhaman has a score of 4 in delivery performance, delivery reliability. So, and what is the weight of the delivery? Weight of delivery is 0.3. So, we'll multiply 4 into 0.3. And the sum total of all these three multiplications is equal to 3.6. And similarly, we have done it for Century. We have multiplied the score of Century with the individual weights of the criteria. And we got 3.5. And for Morarji, we got 2.2. So imagine Morarji was giving you the best price, but when you use this formula, Morarji gets the least score, which is 2.2. And the best score is Vardhaman, which is 3.6. Now, where is Vardhaman lacking? Vardhaman is lacking in terms of quality. Otherwise, their price is slightly high, but the delivery is great. And Century is, the prices are very high and their deliveries are a little bad, but the quality is very good. So, in Morarji, the price is the best, but their quality and delivery both are bad. Now, you have done your rating, you got the ranking. Vardhaman is number 1, Century is number 2, Morarji is number 3. Now, what do you do with this? Now, after getting this ranking, you should tell Vardhaman that they should improve their quality. You should tell Century that they should improve their delivery in price. And you should tell Morarji that, we are sorry, we cannot give you orders because your quality and your delivery is very, very bad. So therefore, we will not give you the order. If you give us better quality and better delivery, only then we will think of giving you orders. So we have considered 3 parameters: price, quality, delivery. We have given the weight to all these parameters. Price has a weight of 0.3, quality has a weight of 0.4, and delivery has a weight of 0.3. And then we have then we have given the scores, and we have then multiplied the score with the weight, and then we have got the total score. And based on that, we have done the ranking of the companies, and now we can clearly see that we should give the order to Vardhaman. So, in the first section, we talked about the 23 parameters which are important, which should be kept in mind when you are thinking of giving orders to any vendor. How do you evaluate the vendors? Now, once you have the criteria in place, then we have discussed how to handle the weighted point evaluation system. So, you have the criteria, you have to give them the weights, then you have to give the scores to the companies based on the information gathered in terms of price, quality, delivery, or whatever parameter you are taking into consideration, and then do the summation, and then you have the ranking, and accordingly you can take action. So that brings us to the end of the second section, and in the end we are going to talk about the facility evaluation. Now, when we say facility, we are talking about the factory. We are talking about the evaluation of a factory. How do you gauge whether a factory is actually good for you or not? So that is what we are going to talk about. That's slide number 16, and in slide number 17 we have the process of facility evaluation are grouped under 3 main categories. First is performance assessment, second is business structure / manufacturing capability assessment, and third is the quality system assessment. After doing all these 3 assessments, we will be in a position to gauge whether a factory deserves to be given orders or not. So first we'll talk about the performance assessment. So what are we going to assess? So we're going to assess the shipment quality, the delivery, and the cost analysis. Now, shipment quality is you do the quality checking of the shipment, and then you can find the quality, let's say the percentage defects. So it can be 0.5%, 1%, 2%, 3%, whatever. That is the assessment of the shipment quality. Second is the delivery. Now, delivery is fairly simple. If a delivery has to be made by, let's say, 10th of January. So if the delivery is done before 10th of January, absolutely great. If the delivery is done till 10th of January, great. If it is later than 10th of January, 1 day delay, 2 days delay, 3 days delay, accordingly the delivery performance will be reduced. So if someone gives you the delivery before time, you may give them 5 points. If someone gives you delivery on time, you may give them 4 points. But if the vendor gives a delivery 1 to 3 days delay, then you may give them 3 points. If they delay by 4 to 7 days, you will just give them 2 points. If they give you delivery after 1 week, then you give them only 1 point. So the performance accordingly is going to reduce as the delivery is delayed. Now, how do we do the cost analysis? So let's say there are 5 vendors, each of them are going to give you the prices. So when you get the prices, then accordingly you can see who's giving you highest price, who's giving you the lowest price, and accordingly you can give them the score. So someone who's giving you best of costs are good for you. Someone who's giving you high cost, it is not so good for you. So that's how you do the analysis. And if someone is giving you something at a particular price and then they don't deliver it to you, there's another vendor which gives you a particular price but also delivers it to you. So you have to look at all the costs which are involved when you are placing an order with a particular vendor, and accordingly you can do the cost analysis, and then you can clearly see which vendor is you can clearly assess the performance of a vendor in terms of cost. So that was performance assessment. Second, we are going to talk about the business structure / manufacturing capability assessment, and we are right now on slide number 19. Now, when you talk about a business structure or a manufacturing capability, so these are the 5 things that we're going to look into. One is technical cooperation, second is employee profile, third is financial status, fourth is equipment, and fifth is manufacturing. Now, when you look at technical cooperation, if you want a vendor to buy a particular technology or use a particular technology or manufacture a product using a particular technology, if the vendor is ready to do all of that for you, then your assessment is going to be great. You give 5 out of 5. If the technical cooperation is less, then you are going to reduce the score. The assessment is going to be less. Then we talk about the employee profile. Employee profile, does your vendor, let's say vendor 1, vendor 2, vendor 3, vendor 4, vendor 5. Vendor 1, does the vendor have technically qualified persons? Do they have engineers? Do they have researchers? Do they have people with relevant academic background or with a technical background? Let's say someone is doing printing for you. Then do they have chemical engineers? Do they have textile designers or textile engineers? Or do they have people who don't have any academic or technical background? They've just learned it from here and there, and they don't have a sound knowledge of printing. So you're going to look at the employee profile. So if the employee profile is strong, relevant, makes sense. So you're going to the score that you're going to give to your manufacturer is going to be higher. But if a printer has only all those traditional people with only traditional knowledge and they don't have sound understanding of the printing technology and things like that, they always try to use jugaad technology and things like that, then it's a shaky employee profile. So so the assessment is going to be maybe average. And like we discussed earlier, financial status. Any vendor should have good financial status. Their relation with the money lenders, with the banks, with the financial institutions should be good. And this can be easily found out from the markets whether the financial status of a vendor is good or not. And you can always ask them to share with you their financial statement and the annual returns, based on which you can decide whether they are good or not. Then fourth is equipment. Anyone who has great equipment, state-of-the-art machinery and things like that, good. Someone is using age-old obsolete machines, You must be scared. You should be very, very alarmed, and you should definitely put a star mark that, whether you would want to work with this factory or not. And the fifth is manufacturing. So different kinds of technologies, production technologies exist for any kind of product. So if you're talking about apparel manufacturing, so does the factory know how to manufacture the product that you want, maybe a zipper or a thread or a label or whatever? So do they have an understanding of manufacturing? What kind of manufacturing processes are they using? Are they using the best of methods? Are they using the best of labor and things like that? And based on that, you can assess the manufacturing capability of a vendor. So that brings us to the third assessment system, which is the quality assessment system. Now, what do you do when we are assessing the quality system of a factory? First is the management commitment. Is the owner or the top management committed to quality? If they are not committed to quality, then there is no possibility that the people at the grassroots level will have any allegiance to quality. So if the top management is committed to quality, only then the rest of the factory will uphold the same spirit. So when you talk to the top management people, you will understand whether they are pro quality or whether they have nothing to do with quality. That's one level of assessment. Second is the product development. Product development is how many inventions have they been doing, and are they ready to do new kinds of experiments in order to give you new type of products or with new finishes, with new features, new combinations, new functions and things like that. If a factory says no, we do whatever we do, we are not going to do new things, then in that case it's a big no, it's a big negative. Someone who is ready to invent, do a lot of innovations on your behalf is a great vendor. At C, we have process improvement. At the end of the day, no vendor is perfect. So if a vendor is working and they're using certain processes and which may be a little obsolete, and if you point it out, they're ready to improve it. You tell them how to improve it and they actually improve it. You tell them that you have to have trained people, you have to have better machines. So they actually hire new people, trained people, they buy new machines. That means the vendor is ready to improve the processes. That is the sign of a great vendor. Quality planning. Now, how do you plan quality? So if you want to give great quality, you have to plan it. And how do you plan it? So first thing is you understand your product, you build the quality philosophy within the production systems, you have the production manager and supervisor and labor with adequate understanding of the product in the production process, and then you also hire you also build a quality team which is going to, right from step one, they are going to monitor the quality. That's how you do your quality planning. That's how you ensure that great quality comes out of the factory. So you can ask the vendors that show me your planning. What is the planning that you have to maintain quality? And based on that, you will understand whether they have any kind of quality planning or not. We go to the fifth point, which is quality assurance in supply. Now, if someone is supplying to you, what is the guarantee that the vendor will maintain a smooth supply? So there are systems based on which you can monitor the supply, and in advance you will get to know if there is going to be shortage of labor, shortage of particular raw material, shortage of power, shortage of anything, and accordingly you can make arrangements so that the supply does not get disturbed. So does the vendor have the capability to give you the quality assurance in supply? And similarly, point F, does the vendor have the capability to give you the quality assurance in production? The system is such that the vendor will be able to give you the required level of quality in the production. And the seventh point is inspection and experimentation. Now, when we talk about inspection, the vital question that needs to be asked while assessing a vendor is that, do you conduct inspection? Do you conduct inspection at all the stages of production? And if you are doing the inspection, where is the daily report? And who all undertake inspection? Is there a team which does the inspection? If there's a team, please call them. And please share their capabilities. Do they have any formal education? How many years of experience do they have? And do they maintain the inspection records? So if the vendor is able to show you all of that, then it means that the vendor is well grounded and will be able to give you a great product. Experimentation, is the vendor ready to experiment? Is the vendor in the habit of experimenting and coming up with new products, or new products with new aesthetics or new functionality, etc. So if the level of experimentation is high, then the vendor has a special gift, and you can use this particular vendor for special situations. And H is the quality staff. What is the level, or what is the quality of the staff? Now the staff quality, when we say the education level of the staff, the behavioral pattern, the attitude, the enthusiasm, the readiness to change, the readiness to accept the mistakes, the sense of discipline, are they well integrated with the philosophy of the company and things like that. All of these are part of the quality of the staff. So if the quality of the staff is great, it's a huge plus point. And when you're doing the quality system assessment, this is one of the important question that needs to be asked, or the important dimension, the quality staff. So with that, we come to the end of this particular session 9A, and in 9B we are going to talk about vendor compliance, which is one of the most important aspect today when you are thinking of catering to the global markets. Then vendor compliance is an essential part and the first part. Until unless you are compliant, no brand in the world will give you orders. So that's what we're going to discuss in the second session, which is 9B. Thank you.